Okay, girl, welcome to my book club. I just finished the first 2 chapters of Dream Count and I have thoughts. This is gonna be a podcast. Put this video on 2x and go and wash some dishes. Okay, so the story starts out with who I'm gonna presume is the main character, Chiamaka, and she's living in DC. Her parents are rich. She comes from this rich Igbo family. She's well-traveled, well-educated, and she has 2 brothers. So it starts off a little bit with her family dynamics. You can tell that her family has this like Igbo sense of duty, but not necessarily closeness, which I feel like is very pervasive through Nigerian families. So shout out to Chimamanda for touching on that. However, Chiamaka touches lightly on the relationship between her and her mother and her father. She has these 2 brothers. They're twins. One is in the UK, one is in Nigeria working for the dad. You know, the normal story. A lot of what is focused on in the first chapters is Chiamaka's relationship with Darnell. So Darnell is Chiamaka's Black American boyfriend who lives in the DC area around her as well. And he's this like art writer or something. Like he's this like African American art professor. And he has this sense of, you know, superiority because he understands art. Meanwhile, Chiamaka is also into the arts. She's a travel writer, but Darnell is always looking for a way to like chip her down or say something really annoying about her. Like when he found out that she had money and her family was wealthy, he kept on making these little jabs. Like in the book, it reads, Darnell Googled my father and said, Jesus Christ, is that his actual net worth? Chiamaka responds, you know these things are always exaggerated, I said. Then he says, no, I don't know. Some of us have folks who don't know what net worth is. I mean, I knew you were a princess, this fancy ass apartment in Center City, and you just up and quit your job to focus on travel writing, he said, his 4 fingers curving in air quotes as he said travel writing. But this, Jesus. After that, he joked often about my family's wealth, his teasing always studded with thorns. That honestly just sums up Darnell's insecurity with Chiamaka's family's wealth. She's trying to like not really put it in his face, but he's constantly using that as like a chipping block to show Chiamaka like, oh yeah, you know, you might be rich, but I worked hard. I'm more intelligent. He's always looking for ways to knock her down. So the annoyance that I felt when this girl keeps on defending him, she keeps on finding ways to explain him to her family and friends, especially that she keeps on expressing her hesitation whenever it's time for Darnell to meet her friends or her family, or when it was time to meet Zikora or Amelogo. Like she's just always so like, I hope this night is gonna go well. I'm scared to do it here, so let me do it inside of my house where I can control the environment. And girl, Chiamaka, that is literally like what I always preach about. Like whenever a girl feels the need to over-engineer people meeting her boyfriend, I cut the shit. I'm like, that man's not for you. Like I'm always the one. I'm always that friend. Like that's not your man. That's not your husband. The character that I relate to the most so far is by far Omelogo. She is outspoken. If you say rubbish, she'll look at you like, what did you say? And I can feel the cringe that Chiamaka feels whenever Omelogo challenges somebody in her life, especially Darnell, on something that he said. Chiamaka likes to be this meek, just like a handbag to Darnell. And Omelogo is like, what? You don't even have the perspective that I have. She's always giving him back, and that's what I like. Like there's a point in the book when they're at dinner and Darnell tries to sort of shame or take a chip at Chiamaka's family for having money and being rich and basically saying that her family somehow down the line sold his family into slavery. Like, make the connection, please. And Omelogo was like, what? And gave him this extremely nuanced situation where her own grandfather not only was a victim of the slave trade, but survived it. So she was kind of like, everything has its own perspective. We're not just all slave traders or all victims. And I love that quip from Omelogo because I feel like it gave Darnell like his tongue lashing back. This whole book so far, he's constantly doing little things to guilt Chiamaka out of her position. He wants to make her feel uncomfortable with her family's wealth and almost revere him more, even though low-key, if you read between the lines, not only did he not make that fellowship that was the easier one, he's constantly pitting what he imagines her dad's net worth to be against himself. So the whole relationship to me is bullshit. Darnell is constantly trying to tear Chiamaka down. Chiamaka can definitely do better, but I don't know what it is. She's yearning for that attention. Throughout the book, Darnell is literally paying her dust. You know, she'd make a comment, he would throw it off. She postponed her trip to India because he showed up at her apartment door. There's even a section in the book where she says, I never asked again. She's referring to her peer review work. I never asked again, just as I didn't take my anxieties to him to protect him from the burden that I could be. How could you be a burden, girl? Like again, she's always making herself small because Darnell has this air of superiority because him and his friends talk about art on the weekends. Chiamaka is just letting Darnell's false sense of bravado trick her out of her place of really who she is. And it is pissing me off so far. Another part of the book that pissed me off is when Chiamaka says, I postponed my first trip to India because Darnell suddenly emerged from his silence. He appeared at my door after days of unanswered texts. His black bag slunk across his front. As soon as I saw him, the sky aligned with the earth and all was well. My excitement made me as jittery as when I take too much caffeine. I was fluttering about, asking what he wanted to do. Girl, he literally ignored ignored you for weeks. And the first time he ends up at your door, not only do you move your trip to India, but you're excited to see him. Chiamaka, stand up. And that's exactly what she did. Because by the time they went to Paris, because she ordered a mimosa, even though low-key, yeah, girl, ordering a mimosa in France is a little razz. I'm not gonna lie. But you should not have been shamed for it. But I don't know why, as soon as that mimosa incident just switched something in her brain, she's like, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. And I love it. That's what I feel like often happens to us girls. We'll be dating someone, you know, going about. The guy will be doing rubbish. After a while, you're just like, you know what? I'm out of here. And the person literally never sees you again. So even though Chiamaka was weak in the knees for the first 2 episodes, I'm very glad that she just at one day just stood up, bought her ticket back to DC and said, peace! Peace, Darnell. She could do better. I hope she doesn't get back with him. But anyways, I'll be continuing to review the chapters here on my TikTok page. Okay. Bye, guys.